emotional and physical abuse in my household. My stepdad was very abusive in all these different types of ways. So I grew up as a young kid thinking that I was a mistake and a burden. With my story is, there's everything in it. We have suicide, we have murder, we have physical abuse, sexual abuse, drug addiction, living on the streets, homelessness, prison. My name is Crystal Vallee. I've been with Steered Straight since 2016. It's been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. For about 15 years, I dealt on and off with drug addiction that stemmed from multiple traumas in my life. I'm from an extremely dysfunctional family. My father was an alcoholic. My mom was very codependent. My first traumatic experience happened when I was 12. My best friend committed suicide, but I also was enduring a lot of emotional and physical abuse in my household. My stepdad was very abusive in all these different types of ways. So I grew up as a young kid thinking that I was a mistake and a burden. And unfortunately, these feelings of low self-esteem and low self-worth had me starting to make poor decisions around the age of 13. And unfortunately, I was one of those students that actually had really good grades and played sports. But over time, I stopped caring about these situations because I felt as though if my parents do not care, then why should I? And I started making poor decisions in high school. And for about 15 years, I battled on and off with an addiction that's led me down some very, very bad roads. Also in my story, I have suicide, I have a sexual assault, and prison, unfortunately, at 26 years old due to drug addiction. I was involved in a fatal car accident where somebody had passed away, and I served 6 years in prison. And that wasn't my first prison sentence. I had also served 3 years in Florida State Prison behind a possession of cocaine. And the main purpose and the main message that I have throughout my entire story is that, I did not love myself and I did not ask for help. There's a million different people that I could have asked to get help from, and I chose not to because I did not like myself. I was my own worst bully. I put myself down on a daily basis, and I personally believe that's because I didn't have self-esteem or self-worth instilled in me from my parents. I still do have a very dysfunctional family. However, since I took the time to ask for help and seek help in numerous different ways, I've finally found purpose for the things that I've been through. I'm actually entirely okay with every negative experience that has happened to me because I now use it as an opportunity to help other people. And I'm extremely passionate about this program. I'm extremely passionate about helping other people. And my main mission behind that is that kids don't end up like me. And also due to the fatal car accident that I am the result of, I am the reason that somebody is not alive on this earth. I intend to continue to carry my story to prevent another person from dying.
How do the kids relate to you, like when you're in schools?
So a lot of the kids relate to me for all different types of reasons. The fortunate and unfortunate thing that we have with my story is, there's everything in it. We have suicide, we have murder, we have physical abuse, sexual abuse, drug addiction, living on the streets, homelessness, prison, dysfunctional parents. There's just so many different bullet points throughout my story that I honestly can touch everyone in the audience.
So they relate to you?
Absolutely. The experiences that I've had at the end of presentations with, kids coming up to me saying that, they thought that they were the only person that had been through something in their life. And then until they heard me speak or the program had come into their school, they were able to realize that they were not alone. And that was one of the biggest mistakes that I had made growing up. I thought nobody would understand. Nobody would know what it was like to walk in my shoes. Nobody had ever been through something that I had been through, and I was entirely alone. And these are parts of the reasons why I sought using drugs to run from these issues, because I thought nobody would get it.
And just in an hour or 90-minute presentation, you can impact kids so much where they'll relate to you and want to talk to you and tell you things that they are keeping to themselves. Is that what a principal, a superintendent's going to see when they bring you to your school?
Absolutely. I mean, the program as a whole and me as a speaker within, working for the program, there's been numerous and countless, situations where children have come up to us in the end of these, presentations, and we've been able to get them help through outside agencies or within the school system. And, this is why I say that I'm entirely okay with every negative experience that I've been through, because it's now used as an opportunity to help other people. And while I was growing up, I thought, when people would say things to me like, everything happens for a reason, I would get mad, right? Like, why do things happen to me? This isn't fair. Only bad things happen to me. But here we are now in hindsight, and I'm speaking in a school where I'm able to explain ways that I felt, and the things that I told myself, and the situations that I had been in now all have purpose.
So what's going on with kids these days? Like, what do you see? What have you saw this past school year?
This past school year, since after COVID, suicide rate has climbed, self-harm rate, low self-esteem, vaping is a massive issue within the school systems. I recently just worked in adolescent rehab, where I was working with 13 to 18-year-old kids in the substance abuse field with dual diagnosis, mental health issues, as well as substance abuse problems. And the amounts of kids that are coming in and out of the facility, thinking that they're just vaping or they're just, smoking marijuana, and we're finding fentanyl in their systems. So I have that experience as well. I believe things are consistently getting worse every year that goes on, and I don't feel as though it's going to slow down anytime soon. So therefore, we try to do the best that we can, share our message.
What do you think parents need to hear, staff need to hear about what's going on with these kids?
So over the last, 6 years, we've heard some people say, not my kid, or not my school. And that's far from the truth. Because since working in this adolescent rehab, I see kids coming from all over the state of New Jersey, and I sit there and I talk with them. I have the opportunity to work with them side by side for 90 days. And, I've had the ability to ask them, what's going on in your school system, and it's all the same, whether it's a high-end, school or urban society, it's the same exact things that are going on. So I feel as though we need to educate people more on really what's going on. So the positive thing about my message is that I've been through numerous different situations. And one of the biggest things that I try to express to, kids is that sometimes you can't control what happens to you or around you, or, what your socioeconomic status is, or who your parents are, or what it is that's going on. But you do have a choice and decision on how you deal with it. So one of the things that I like to share is how I had dealt with things in all the wrong ways. And one of the biggest things that I like to share as well is I personally don't believe that it's the drugs or the alcohol, it's what happened before that. And until you start to deal with these situations or these traumas or the way you feel about yourself, you're going to continue to make poor choices. So my biggest part of the whole entire message is, no matter what you're going through, to ask for help. And that's something that I did not do. Another thing that I like to express towards the end of my presentation is that, no matter what's happened to you or around you, that you do have worth. So one of the biggest things that I like to express, like I just said, is the fact that, all these kids are worth it. Like, if nobody's told you today that you're worth it, I'm telling you that you're worth it.